Welcome to Lend a Voice with the Oracle.
Hello there. Welcome to Lend a Voice. And my preoccupation for this episode is development. Since I was born till now that I am very old, my country, Nigeria, has always been called an underdeveloped country. And when people want to be magnanimous, they try to euphemize it and say, developing. That sounds a bit positive. We're developing. But I've been wondering, at what point are we going to become developed? If you look at Nigeria in the last 50 years, 40, 30, what shows the ing attached to that develop? What are the things that show a procedural or a physical, verifiable development? What is it that shows that this nation is moving somewhere? Does it exist? How are we developing? And how do nations move from third worlds to first world or even to second world, if there's something like that? What is our hope that at some point and at what point we are going to become a first world? What are we doing to achieve that? Do we even have that as a dream, that we want to be developed? Because if we want to be developed, what are we doing that shows that direction to the developed? If there's a point called developed, how are we moving towards that point? There are lots of challenges, lots of problems that are not solved. I have talked about how we're not making use of our education. Now, this is the second part of that episode, because right now we have remained underdeveloped. We have remained developing because we're not taking care of things that should be taken care of. And we pay lip service to what we call development. And more so, when we say the word development, we focus on the physical, the infrastructural things we build because other nations are building such. You know, if you go to Nigerian cities today, the things that show development or shows that this place is different from the local areas or the villages, what are the things? Banks, restaurants, eateries, malls, what else? Cinemas, all of those kind of things, big shops, better roads, traffic lights, bigger roads, skyscrapers or big taller buildings. How many skyscrapers do we have? The question is, why have we remained like this? What is keeping us? One of the things is that first, we have a lopsided idea of what development is because we focus on the physical or infrastructure. Now, there are two ways that people develop. There is the physical, which is the infrastructural, the things we build, the bridges, the roads, the buildings, houses, skyscrapers. And then we must also develop people. So there is the physical, there is the mental. And when these two do not work together, when we are developing, leaving one at the expense of the other, we cannot have a good society. It's very obvious. I have mentioned that we pay lip service to our education, and this is one of the effects. When you pay lip service to your education, when you're not teaching your children how to think, when you're not teaching the children how to critically analyze their environment, to question things, to be thinkers, you find that they are not fully developed. So when you now develop infrastructure, beautiful infrastructure, it's like you're making a good house, a big house, a fine house for people who do not know how to use a fine house. Can you see the effects? Have you seen people stealing rods from railways? I mean, young men go to rail tracks to deface the place, get iron rods, get iron works to go and sell. People go to electrical installations to even steal the transformer, collect equipment, steal wires. They want to sell them. People go to express roads to remove the cover of gutters and drainage system because they want to sell these things. That is what they want to do. And do you know why? those boys or men who are going to steal these things, it is our collective fault that they do not know what they are doing is wrong. Now, we understand criminality, we understand offensiveness in societies, but the major thing is that many Nigerians have been made to just look for food. So it is our fault that when we build things, it is the same us that will scatter those things. Why? We're trying to be world class only physically. We're trying to be global only physically. Build this, build that because it's in New York. Build like this because a skyscraper is in Germany, is in UK. So let's build some. So when you build them, the vast majority of people in the country cannot use lifts, cannot use skyscrapers. So there is an imbalance in how we are developing. We're not developing right. If we do not invest enough in training people, the other development will be defaced. I'll give you an instance of the Lagos Oshodi bus terminal. First time I was there a few years back, it was nice. This is a world-class, so to say, a world-class infrastructure, beautiful place. Wide, big, shiny, and all of that. All the equipment and infrastructure, it was beautiful. But stand around that terminal for 10 minutes and watch people, how they drop things, how they use the facility, how they are nonchalant, how there are even segments in that facility that you can't walk. I mean, there are steps and staircases. There are places you won't venture into because if you go there, everywhere is full of shit. There are places you go to and you just find property of beggars or mad people using the same infrastructure. Now, can you see the problem? This is a beautiful infrastructure, something you would see in New York and you enjoy it, something you would see in Beijing and you enjoy it, but it is here, yet you can see how it is being defaced. It is an example of how we are developing or focusing on infrastructure without giving the same level of focus in training people. A world-class infrastructure for people who are not very world-class. Am I insulting Nigerians? No. But there is a problem in how we train ourselves, how we raise ourselves, how we develop ourselves. So development has to be complete. It has to be total so that when you're building things, when you're creating things that look good, the people who should use them should also look good. And in fact, it is more important to develop the human beings in a society because it is automatic for the infrastructure to follow those who are already developed. When you develop the minds of people, they would know the things they need. Some of the skyscrapers that we have in Lagos or Abuja, for instance, some of them are built by individuals. So if those individuals or those businesses were not born, where would they come from? It's the same way all over the world. All the skyscrapers we see in big cities were not particularly built by public institutions. So human beings are the drivers of development. So the first thing to do is to develop your people. But we don't pay attention to that. All I've seen since I was born, my state, for instance, the local government chairman or the governor, all you see is, okay, this road is too small. Now, let's expand it. So maybe within 2 years, if they are fast, they will create a better road, fine, and all that. And we go like, oh, infrastructural development. Meanwhile, there are 49 other roads in that state. Nobody looks at those ones. Oh, we need a bridge here. Okay, let's build a bridge. Oh, this is a magnanimous local government chairman. This is a magnanimous governor, people governor. And then he builds the place within 2, 3, 4 years. And then we go like, oh, infrastructural developments, camera, prap. Oh, okay, this place, they don't have so market. Okay, let's build a better market. And then we do a little infrastructure, the same stalls, and we say, ultra-modern market. We can be very funny with words. Ultra-modern market, and then it's there. And everybody goes, oh, infrastructural development. Oh, these schools are dilapidated. Let's retouch them and we reform some of the schools. Meanwhile, there are 100 others untouched. And we go like, oh, infrastructure development. So we focus, or we try to focus on rearranging the space, and we neglect those for whom the space is meant. So when we don't develop the space users alongside the space, there is a problem. And I am repeating, who is more important here? The users. If we develop the users, they themselves will develop the infrastructure. That's how it has always worked. So the fact that we keep paying more attention to infrastructure, to win cheap popularity, political popularity, oh, he built this, he built that. Because we are focusing more on that, we are not building ourselves. And because we are not building ourselves, we are still not getting 100% in the infrastructure. Because, like I am repeating again, the more we build human beings, the more the humans build the society or build the infrastructure. We cannot just abandon them and focus on infrastructure. So our development, so to say, is stagnated, lopsided, because we're placing the cart before the horse. So we have to develop right. I started getting this from Ngugi wa Thiong'o's novel, Petals of Blood. In Petals of Blood, Ngugi paints a picture of a small village, Ilmorog. Now, Ilmorog is just one tiny farming village that gets national attention because of what a few people did. And what happens, because of that national attention, the place became opened, and then businesses came in, government came in, infrastructures. In 2 seconds, everywhere had become changed physically. But do you know what happened? The locals, the natives, became beggars in their own home. The natives did not have the skill set to develop alongside their community, and they were left behind. And that is a picture, that is a symbol of the real situation in many African cities. So we just focus on making, oh, this is how they build this. We build different kinds of buildings. And the more we build these things, the less the owners of the land, Nigerians themselves, the less useful they become, the less skilled we become. Because you can't just come and turn around a farmer's village in 2 seconds and then there's no space for him to farm, or you just leave a small portion for him without educating him. How do you want him to function in the society? So this is a big challenge we're having, and this is one of the things stagnating our very movement. We are not focusing on our people. That is why education must be given more than 100% attention all over the country. We must educate people, not just school. I mean, mentally educating. We have to focus our development on our brothers. Because when we don't do that, we're just building spaces, we're just changing spaces, and we cannot be developed like that. I'll give you an instance. When you look at the skylines of, say, New York, the skylines of Beijing, Tokyo, Washington, London, what do you see when you compare that to the skyline of Lagos? I could basically count the number of tall buildings if you look at the Lagos skyline. Why? Now, you will definitely see a difference. Bring Abuja, bring Lagos, bring Port Harcourt. These are our 4 cities, like FORE. These are 4 cities. And you look at them, and on this side, you have London, you have New York, you have Beijing or Tokyo. You will find an infrastructural gap right there. What we don't realize is that that infrastructural gap existing there is a symbol of the thinking gap that exists between these people. We are not thinkers. We are not thinking. I will say it, I'm always particular about the mind, because in our mindset and minds lie our problems. And it is also in our minds that we have solutions. So the reason we are the way we are, the reason we have remained stagnant, is that the place wherein our solutions lie, where we can identify ourselves, identify our problems, and seek challenges, because we are not opening up on that, it remains closed. And our minds, our focus is like the development of other societies are just magneting us. We just want to go there. We're drawn by the beauties of New York. We're drawn by the beauties of Germany. We're drawn by the beauties of the UK. So we want to be there. That's where life is. Why can't we create life? Why can't we recreate our own life? Our minds are closed up. So the mental is the key to our development. And until we start redeveloping our minds, re-educating ourselves, properly analyzing ourselves, properly thinking about ourselves. That infrastructure thing we're doing is a farce. We cannot develop. So we can't focus on infrastructure alone. Build one road. Sometimes successive governments will come, rebuild the same road, maybe paint or retouch this. This is also how you know that there's a problem. Everything is headquartered somewhere. All the developments of a particular government is in the city. I mean, a state government, for instance, that is vast, large. There's only one town. There's only one space. So every governor that comes rebuilds somewhere around there. Okay, we'll build this bridge, the same town. We'll build this road, the same place. And then maybe one or two in the other local governments. So 10 years later, the whole system, the whole picture remains the same. Maybe one good road here and 55 bad roads every other place. We're not paying attention to things. But the more we develop our minds, the more we become more mentally civilized, the better the system becomes. I will give you one more example before I leave. All the times we have arguments about why we have bad leaders or why our leaders are not good. People would say, I've had this argument where people say, look, it is because we're all bad. The leaders reflect us. They will give you examples of how we behave at our workplaces. Somebody will say, oh, I employed somebody and he was stealing. Somebody would say, oh, in my working place, somebody was stealing. So why are we talking against bad leaders? We're all the same. Wonderful. But this is it. What are you expecting from a mind that has not been properly trained? What are you expecting from a mind whose training has revolved around food? That is one big challenge in Nigeria or Africa. Our mindset has been trained to just seek food. So all we want to do is get enough food for ourselves, right? Eat, be merry, have men or women to satisfy our other urges, sleep, watch football, or watch any other sport we like, or wrestling, and then sleep, have a nice place to sleep, wake up, argue about which tribe is the better one, and then sleep, wake up, and continue looking for more bread. That is how we've been trained. That's the kind of mindset we have. So why will I not steal? So who should change this trend? Me? No. There's someone we pay to lead us. So when we castigate or criticize bad leadership, don't come tell me that I'm bad. No, I don't have all the enjoyment that he has, all the taxes that he has access to. He has everything because he promised to change us. Because when he starts changing us, let's talk about the education, for instance. When the leadership of this country decides to change Nigerians, it's a very simple thing to do. Start with those in primary school. We're all gone. You hardly change my mindset now. So those children who are in the primary and early secondary schools, start changing their mindset by teaching them what is right, teaching them in a way that is right, providing facilities for them, and they will change, become better adults. But we're not doing that. You want me to just change because I go to church and hear sermons? Hello. We're just food-centered. So eat, sleep, wake, eat, higher animals, right? We need to change ourselves. And the leadership is responsible for that. So those people stealing roads here and there, defacing and spoiling infrastructure, the reason is because you're building that infrastructure for people who cannot use them. So what they say is an opportunity to make money. Of course, the law can catch up with them. That's a different ballgame. That's a different story. But the reason is, why is this happening? Why are people stealing infrastructure? Why are people carrying facilities away to go and sell? Of course, it is to go and sell. What is the aim? Food. That is how Nigerian system or African governments have reduced their own citizens to just look for food. Today, we use all forms of apps. We see all forms of things. Have you gone to something like AliExpress to see the products that people are making? How did they come up with these products that you can just use at home? Sometimes that you don't even you need a particular product until you see something online. Oh, so I can buy this, I could buy this. Why? These boys or men or women in these places are free to think about other things. But here, what are we thinking? Food. How to eat. What next to eat? We're just higher animals. Our minds are not developed, but we want to develop the infrastructure. For whom to use? If you see a picture of Lagos, it's always the island. What happened to the mainland? How many skyscrapers are in the mainland, if not the government house? What is wrong with us? So, our development needs to be total. Otherwise, 100 years from now, we will still be third world. 100 years from now, we will still be underdeveloped. If you don't use your mind, someone else will use it for you. We need to be different. And the time is now.